All right, so this is Motivational Movements, and this will be my review of my time in Serbia. Now, Serbia, it was a pretty hip time, pretty cool time. I went there for several days, met some cool people, went out, of course, did the nightlife, and I learned a little bit about the history of Belgrade in Serbia, where I stayed at, with the Belgrade Fortress. And then also I went out on several different tours, including a night tour that reviewed the fortress, and then also we stopped by the home of the great Nikola Tesla, who is a famous creator that is from Serbia. So upon my arrival, I arrived at the Nikola Tesla airport, and go figure. And then from there, I had a friend pick me up. We went out, got to see some sights and sounds. We went to several different popular restaurants, which I'll show in the video. Also, in addition to that, I later on went out and explored the nightlife, most notably at a club called The Bank. Dope hip hop, Afro beats, Caribbean urban flair music. I posted one of the videos on the vlog, my nightlife in Belgrade. It was definitely a great time. I enjoyed it. Met some beautiful women at the club, and we had a great time. I got to check out a number of different bars, because I actually went on a bar crawl there. They have a bar crawl there as well. I'll post the information in the video box description. The guy was cool. He was okay guy. And went around the main square, the town, and then the different bars to include the bank club rather. Later on the next day, I did some sightseeing with the aforementioned night tour, and then also I did a city tour of the fortress, and then also other major parts of the city. And from there, I tried some different restaurants, some different vegan restaurants. It wasn't too many there, but there was some. There was a combination for vegan nonetheless. After that, I made sure I got a rest, and yeah, it was overall pretty cool experience. I talked to a lot of locals out on the street and so forth, and I thought it was a very, very interesting culture. Me being melanated brother going to Eastern Europe, around the Balkan people, it's a bit of a different history than, let's say, the UK or France, because unlike the UK, France, Spain, Holland, and so forth, the Serbia and much of Eastern Europe did not conquer a lot of the planet as those aforementioned countries did, with the Africans, which I'm a descendant of, and then also the indigenous people in Americas, which they're classified now as Latinos, and then Filipinos and so forth. They actually were conquered, so to speak, by the Russians. A lot of the languages in this part of the world has Russian influence. With that, I felt like the people maybe didn't have certain hang-ups that, let's say, people in West Europe would have. However, there was a flare of bluntness, but overall, to me, the people was cool. Even though I was like the only black guy there, the people were real respectful. It wasn't like this awkward vibe so much between me being black. However, I did notice if I was talking to the women, they might look at me like, "Hey, what are you doing?" kind of thing. But it wasn't no incidents. However, on one of the dates I went out on with one of the young ladies, she told me that they were saying some stuff in their language. So for you brothers that are into, let's say, dating women that's Caucasian or white, you might want to be mindful of that when you come up there. But again, there was no incident, so it's just kind of nothing to really sweat, right? And it was definitely friendlier than, let's say, Turkey, which I did a vlog on. People are so rude and nasty in Turkey. Matter of fact, they have a reputation for being nasty. But the people in Serbia, they were cool, very respectful for the most part. you had some of the games that you had worldwide with people, no matter which group you're dealing with. But I think it's a cool place to go for like a looky-see and deal with the people there and get to know them and know their culture. I think they have a lot of different notable facts about their culture. Most notably, like a lot of Serbians. One of the tour guides would tell me they about 50 years ago they started coming to America. They would go to Chicago. So there's a big influx of the Serbian people in Chicago, which I didn't know prior to the tour. Also, Nikola Tesla, the great scientist and creator, was born in Serbia, which was a pretty neat fact. And actually, the airport is named after him. The major airport you're going to fly into, at least in Belgrade, is named after him. As far as one guy asked me in the comment section, like, were the people hostile to you, or did I feel any hostility? I really didn't feel any hostility. Matter of fact, you might could argue that it might be safer for a guy like me there than in America, right? And that's kind of weird because, you know, it's very homogenous. Like it's mostly just white people, Eastern European people, lighter complexion. Where in contrast, my country is more diverse. But I think, like, just from the limited reports I read, you may, you know, like America, there's a lot of issues with different groups of people, and that harkens back to the whole divide and conquer thing. Then there's also a lot of people on head meds. There's the gun rights. You know, any Joe Blow can get a gun and do whatever. So you might actually be safer in Serbia, of all places, right, as a black guy. However, I don't know if you would ever be able to fit in there, right, because the Balkan people, as they call them, they're very they're nationalists, right? So there's a lot of history behind that. They had a number of infighting in the past between the southern Islamic state of Kosovo, and then there's a history behind America helping one side that some people have resentment for. So me being an American, that could be an issue, and that brings me to another thing. While in my country, United States, racism is like the #1 issue, and a lot of countries, yes. Colorism or racism is an issue, but more so is about nationality. So for instance, me being a black American, I'll be treated differently than, let's say, somebody from Africa because of the weight and the value of being an American. You know, America is one of the best countries in the world. But I think that the people are still going to be about their people, right? And that is due to politics. So just the political history of that region of the world. I mean, even a Caucasian person that's not Serbian, he might feel a little out of place in Serbia because, you know, they can tell by the way he talks and so forth. Now, these are not things that the people readily admitted to me. I had to do my own research, and then I paid attention to their body language and when I asked specific questions to get a feel for what their true thoughts was. But as with any place, people are very, you know, they're well-mannered people. They're going to be very accommodating to you, right? Especially as a visitor and a contributing visitor. You know, me, you know, doing tours and so forth and buying resources and things of that nature. But I don't know how much I felt like the people were being authentic with me on certain things, particularly with interactions. I think that the people had to get to know you over time, and I think if they get to know you, they'd be like, "Ah, that's a nice guy. He's a good one," kind of thing. That's kind of what I felt. However, I don't feel like in my country where like you go up and talk to, let's say, a woman on the street, she might act scared or paranoid, but there it wasn't like that. And it would probably wow you out because you're thinking like, you know, my country is like very like racial, particularly like if a black guy talk to a white woman, right? People get real hung up on it. Like I said earlier in the video, it was a bit of an issue. I could feel it from the men, but I didn't really necessarily feel it wholeheartedly from all the men or even many of the women. And like I went around there a lot, and I was one of the only black people there. Now I do need to make a point. It's not as if they never seen black people before. There's been a lot of black athletes that come there for soccer, because in that part, most of the world, soccer is the #1 sport, except for in our country where it's American football, right? So you have a lot of those kind of like athletes or even celebrities. They come there and they perform. I think one of the tour guys was telling me Snoop Dogg and Jay-Z came there. So. And it's not like they never seen no black people before. It's a Christian Orthodox nation, so their history of being Christian Orthodox plays a role into their thinking and behavior. I think this, if you're a proper you're a proper man, and you have your stuff together, I think you can do very well there in many ways socially. I think that, to be real frank about it, I'm in a black Caribbean country right now, and I got more attention and clout and respect from the women there than in the black Caribbean country I'm in right now. And the one I'm in right now, they got an attitude about everything. So, everything is cultural based, right? So even though like a lot of times people may look at people based off of their look or their color, a lot of times people are influenced by their culture, how they were raised. So if they were raised a certain way, they're gonna behave a certain way. And I think that if, like for instance, in let's say East Africa, the people are real friendly. They're real accommodating. They don't come off as suspicious, and a lot of that has to do with the history. Eastern Africa didn't deal with the transatlantic slave trade, and whether the people that's African American like myself or the black Caribbeans believe it or not, their whole behavior and way of thinking is influenced by that transatlantic slave trade. Now, unless they're conscious of it and they decide to think outside the box and be conscious of their behavior, and then maybe how they were raised, it's going to greatly influence them. Same thing with like a lot of Western Europeans, where they feel they're the center of the universe. There's a lot of those people here and where I'm at, and they're, whether they admit it or not, their behavioral patterns is directly influenced by the history of colonialism. Subsequently, the people Eastern Europe, with being colonized, their behavior is influenced by that. And then also television, right? Social media, and so forth. That all plays a role. I think I wanted to touch on that because, as a black guy, black male, black heterosexual guy, like, this is what we think about, right? And so we want to go somewhere we feel comfortable. And I think getting my perspective on that and me explaining that is real important, because a lot of times people gloss over. Like, you'll hear people say, "Oh, you want to date certain women, go to Germany." But I went to Germany; it was racist. There were people were Nazis, and when I would talk to a lot of the white Europeans, white females I dated and so forth, they told me, like, I don't know why these black guys are talking about Germany is this amazing place. The food sucks and the people are Nazis. I don't call people Nazis because I don't know them, right? So it wouldn't be right for me to say that. So I kind of base it off of my experience and how the people treated me, and they were very rude. I talked to a lot of Africans there in Germany and Berlin. They all said the people are not friendly, and that the people look at us as less than human. And that goes back to the Hitler indoctrination thing, right? So kind of matches up. So, but when I went to Serbia, I didn't feel that as much. If at all. Even when I went through customs and so forth, like, the people was pretty cool. However, I could feel like there's a whole division because of the skin color, but it just wasn't harped on, and I felt the people were put on their best behavior, if that makes any sense. And then also I feel like the people maybe have other concerns to deal with than, let's say, some parts of Western Europe. But that's a theory. I would have to live there and really, really soak all the experiences and culture and to really give a clear observation on that. But based off my limited time there, people were very cool. I don't think the answer to that one guy in the comment section question, I don't think the people were very hostile. However, I do think this. Going to Europe, you need to dress proper. Make sure, like, your hair is taken care of. You're more shaven than I am right now. I need to go get a lineup today. Then also, in addition to that, you have collared shirt, nice slacks on, nice shoes. I think a lot of that goes a long way, and that's anywhere in the world, right? We all know that. So, but I think in Europe, unlike let's say, I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just being honest. Outside of maybe Miami, New York, or Los Angeles, let's say in the Mid-Atlantic region, you might see people, all groups coming outside in pajamas. Some group of people come out with bonnets on their head. Don't do weird crap like that. Or you see the girls, let's say they grow up, like, it could be Caucasian or black, and they walking outside with their Crocs and stuff like that. Like, whether it's Western or Eastern Europe, I never saw no girl come outside looking like that. So yeah, I mean, like it's clear, like you can see it's a difference. And I would talk to a lot of my brothers from another mother when I was on the out and about, and then on the plane ride, and they said, oh yeah, the people here, they're very stylish, like they don't come outside looking like whatever. So yeah, I think that's gonna help you. And then just the way you carry yourself and so forth. So no pookies, please. Matter of fact, don't even think about Eastern Europe. You're pookie. Just keep going to Colombia or whatever. But and gassing these women's head up, which you shouldn't do, but whatever. I think that overall, real proper vibe. Like for the men, I don't think you're gonna run into you don't have to run into a lot of the underbelly. It's kind of like Mexico. You have to go looking for the underbelly. You're not gonna have a bunch of women ask you for money or nothing like that. You're not gonna deal with that loser mentality. I think that people are all around the world, right? But I think that you'll deal with a bit more sophistication in many ways in Eastern Europe. I mean, that's the truth. So yeah, I think that it can be very interesting to go to, a good experience. I think it's more of a walkthrough. I don't know, particularly as a man of color, how much I would be able to fit into this society, because I'm an outsider, right? So maybe, like, as you know, in more multicultural environments, it will lend to being easier to assimilate. Like certain parts of Asia, like a lot of people go to Southeast Asia, right? Or Thailand, Philippines, or like Latin America, Brazil, and so forth. So, but I think that it's definitely good to expand your horizons, your consciousness, be open-minded, be safe, right? Be smart and be safe, but try different things, because you never know who you'll meet, and how you'll relate. Most importantly, you may find that intellectual person that you actually can vibe with if you're on that plane. Excuse me. And it can definitely be a wonderful experience. So definitely I would recommend checking out Serbia. They say it's the most friendliest part of Eastern Europe, one of the major keys and reasons I went there, and I think many people will like it as well. So all right, till next time.
I'll be the last one left when the lights go out. I'm down to one last breath, but I can't stop now. We all fall down sometimes, yeah, but